Enchants on swords are meant to be choices. Do you want to have sharpness for just raw damage against everything? Or do you want smite because you're fighting a lot of undead mobs? Or maybe bane of arthropods because you're fighting a lot of spiders? These choices were definitely made much larger when the enchant update came out, because some enchants cannot even be put on with other enchants, such as Thunderbolt and Thunderlord, or Lifesteal or Siphon, or Mana Steal. All of these enchants are meant to be decisions that you make to make your swords more unique. That's why it's pretty cool seeing something like an Axe of the Shredded running Mana Steal and Smite, when you can also just go and look at a Scorpion foil and you're going to be running like Bane of Arthropods and Siphon on it because it's just better on that sword. But, alas, one enchant has sort of ruined that, and it's really come to light recently as to how insane this enchant is and how bad it is for the meta, because all other enchants are pointless because of this one enchant. So today, we're talking about One for All. Hello random people on the internet, my name is Banana, and as I said, today we're talking about the enchant that ruined Hypixel Skyblock and a lot of balancing, and I can only assume that this enchant is going to be getting a nerf soon, and that enchant is One for All. One for All, if you guys do not know, is an enchant that removes every other enchant on your sword, but increases your weapon damage by 210%. Now, you would think that there are drawbacks to this, and there used to be a lot of drawbacks to running One for All, and the main drawback that would be cited by anyone that would talk about it was lifesteal, because back in the day, back in the good old days, lifesteal and Siphon were insane. They were absolutely nuts because they were based off of your damage. So if you were hitting with something that didn't have lifesteal, you were missing out on so much healing, and it just was basically pointless except for the really high stat weapons. People were running One for All on things like Emerald Blades and on Giant Swords because people just saw it as, okay, it's increasing weapon damage by this percentage, so let's take that damage that is already a big stat and just yeet it through the roof and just destroy some things. And it made sense. It made perfect logical sense because you want the high damage weapon to increase its damage a little bit more. But something changed, and now One for All is what everyone's running on every weapon. What happened, you may ask? Well, the strength nerf happened. If you haven't been paying attention to balance in Hypixel Skyblock, basically they changed how the strength stat affects damage. It used to add multiplicatively onto the damage by being in the first part of a calculation, but now it is not in that part, so strength affects damage a lot less, and people's damage went down. It's pretty bad. The nerf affected a lot of late game players really hard, and people who were running weapons like Flower of Truth just got absolutely murked damage wise compared to what they used to do. But in an attempt of getting damage back, people were looking at differences in enchants and just a bunch of different ways to increase damage, and someone stumbled upon One for All. And One for All is way better for some reason damage wise than normal enchants are, and I don't think it was always like this. I honestly don't think that it was that insane. Maybe it always has been insane and people just haven't tested One for All on some of the lower end swords, but it is so good. The way that I'm gonna compare them right now is with two edible maces that I have. I have one with a lot of enchants and Soul Eater on it. The Soul Eater is not going to affect anything, but this one generally should be better. Sharp 6 on it. It's recombobulated. It's fabled. And then this one is spicy with One for All. So spicy is definitely worse than fabled. And we're just going to look at the damage comparison. First, we're going to look at the fabled one. You can see, I didn't even see the number, 300k. 290k, all right, and then if we hit it with this one, 350k. I wonder. So you can see that the one for all one is just better, even though it technically is less maxed than my other one, because the other one is definitely, that one's banging. Someone used that on a mage setup before they nerfed sword swapping, and whoo, they were dealing some damage. But one for all takes the crown. One for all beats it out. And that is very, very scary for the economy of these enchants, because one thing about enchants is that they are very hard to get. Some of them are absurdly rare. Like, you look at something like Cubism 7, I believe it is, or 6. It's one of those levels. You have like Cleave 6, that's really rare. Sharp 7, you have to either spend loads of money on the darker auctions when Scorpius is around, or you have to get it from experimentation tables. So it is very rare. Crit 7, every single tier 7 enchant is only from these experiments on your island, and that makes them so rare and so expensive, and people are getting screwed because one for all comes from floor 7. It is generally rare. I've heard that it has the same drop chance as a chest plate, but it's definitely less rare and less expensive than having a fully maxed sword with actually really good enchants. And one for all is basically ruining every other alt enchant as well, because literally you can't use them. So something like Soul Eater, Swarm, something like Ultimate Wise, all of those are just not able to be used because one for all is just better right now. And that really sucks. So how can they fix this? What can they do to fix balance? I basically see 3 options. The first option is the most realistic one, and that is just nerf one for all. One for all is way too good. It's definitely just, it's beaten out every other enchant in the game. And I know it's pretty lame to just nerf everything, but logistically it makes the most sense because all the other options require a lot more work than just taking down the one enchant that is ruining everything else. The second option, they're never going to do this one. This is an option that they have if they want to keep one for all how it is and keep damage how it is and just like help the other enchants work, and that is to buff every single other enchant in the game. You can tell they're not going to do that. There is basically no chance that they're going to buff every other enchant in the game, because that would be crazy. That would be absurd for them to do. That would increase some things, like some damage would go up because of buffing every other enchant, because magic damage is still better with Smite than one for all, because magic damage is not affected by normal damage. It's just intelligence, and Smite works on magic damage. But if they buffed every other enchant, sure, that would be awesome. I think that would be the one that every player wants. They hear, oh, a buff to me? Yes. But logically, that would take so long for them to do, and it would make almost no sense. And the third option, and I actually sort of support this one, but also I still think that this one would be a little bit overpowered, and that would be to change one for all to buff enchants, or just rework one for all to where somehow you still need normal enchants on it, and one for all can still be the best because it is from floor 7. It is sort of difficult to get, at least, and you can just change it to where you have to have one for all and you have to have other enchants, so then it's not just ruining the rest of the game and the economy of enchanting, because otherwise I don't see any other way other than those 3 ways that they could really fix this problem, because it's definitely a problem. You can't deny that having one enchant be the be-all end-all for every single weapon except for maybe the magic weapons and like Axe of the Shredded, because Mana Steel is so good on Axe of the Shredded that you can't really pass up on it. But when you have one for all being the main thing on everything in the game, like if someone got an Ender Slayer 7 from Enderman, they would just be like, oh, I don't want this because I have one for all on my Atom Split Katana. That's really, really bad for balance. It's not a fun time. I can assume that the admins are definitely working on something. They're probably just going to nerf one for all. And there's probably going to be a bunch of riots in the streets. But that's what's probably going to happen, because it definitely has broken the game. So I hope that you guys did enjoy this video. I hope it kept you informed on everything that is broken in Hypixel Skyblock, because boy do I love talking about stuff like that. If you did enjoy, I would really appreciate a subscription down below. And that's going to be all for today. I will talk to you guys in the next video. Peace out.